Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick review of the Benchmade Vallation knife. Just came out last month. I saw its announcement and wanted to get online and look on YouTube for some reviews, and didn't find any. I went down to the local knife shop and was looking at the knife and to check it out, and I fell in love with it and decided I'd do a review or an overview for anyone else out there that maybe is looking at this knife and just wanted to get more of a personal opinion from someone on its features. So let's go over it. It's, as I mentioned, made by Benchmade. It's the Access Assist mechanism, meaning your typical Benchmade access lock, but this is assisted opening. I'll talk about that a little later in the video. The blade steel is the CPM SV30V, which has a 50 to 60 hardness rating. The blade length is 3.7 inches. The blade thickness is 0.124 inches. The open length of the knife, 8.76 inches. Closed length, 5.09 inches. Handle thickness is 0.7. As you can see, it kind of tapers here on the ends and gets thicker in the middle of the handle. We'll talk about that later. The weight is 6.3 ounces, so it's a heavier knife. Also talk a little bit about that. The blade edge, this model I purchased is the plain edge. They do offer the knife as well in a serrated version and a black coated blade in serrated as well. And the blade type is a drop point, and as you can see, it's got kind of this cool mohawk styling to the top edge of the blade. There's no jimping there, but you do have the thumb stud, and I think the way that mohawk curves on the top gives you a nice place that for your thumb that I don't find jimping necessary. In fact, I like that it's not there. It's a deep carry reverse tip up clip. It is on the end of it is a glass breaker, a carbide glass breaker. We'll talk about that. The handle material is aluminum 6061 T6. It does not have a lanyard hole, and its use is kind of everyday and tactical, I guess. So first, to talk about the blade length, it's 3.7 inches. It's a big knife, and I'm going from my EDC being like a 2 3/4 inch blade. It's a big difference, but I'm actually excited about kind of carrying this bigger blade and knowing, I guess, that I have a knife in my pocket that's up for any job, which moves on to the construction and the weight of this knife. I think has that 6.3 ounces because of the aluminum scales, and also as you look in, you can see that it has not been skeletonized, which adds to the strength of the knife. I think this knife was maybe made to be used or maybe marketed towards firemen and law enforcement, given that it's got that glass breaker. I do not work in that industry personally, but I like carrying a knife that I know can handle any situation. The assisted opening on the knife, I read in the forums that some people had mentioned they wish Benchmade had made this knife without the assisted opening, and so I was worried about that, but as I got to the knife shop and used it, I found that it actually didn't bother me. I like it. The reason for that is that with the length of this blade and the weight of the knife and the size, I think the assisted opening is a nice feature to have. And what I like about it is that they designed it in a way that it's not overpowering. Some autos you feel snappy, and they snap open, and even some assisted opening. The string is overpowered, and this one, it's a little bit, it's a true assist. It does, as you start to open the knife, it does come open, but it's just enough to get it up and lock it in position. What I can show you is that if I open the knife slowly and leave it there, the spring's not powerful enough to flip all the way open. If you give it some flicks and helps, it'll get there, but it's not overpowering, and I like that. I like that I think they did it just right. They executed well, and so the assisted opening doesn't bother me. With the assisted opening, though, there is the spring that you can't pull on the axis lock and flick it closed like you can on many other Benchmade knives, and if closing two-handed bothers you, then you might not like that feature in this knife, but it doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind a two-handed close. The handles and the scales being made out of aluminum was another concern I had for this knife. I didn't know how that would feel. Most of the knives I've owned and carried have been G10 handles, and so I was worried about the aluminum feel and metallic feel in the handle, and hardness and comfort, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that the finishing on this, I'm not sure how well you can see it or tell, but it's kind of a matte black. It's not shiny, and whatever they've coated it with even has a nice feel to it and texture, that it's not tacky, but it almost doesn't feel like metal. It doesn't feel like aluminum. I like the feel of the handle. And so for me, that turned out to be a good thing. The deep pocket carry clip is the stonewash kind of black or darker colored, instead of the older style clips that are painted and the paint would chip or wear. As I mentioned, it does have the little carbide glass breaker on there if you ever need to use that. The pocket clip obviously can be switched for right or left side carry. The blade, they say it's a satin finish, but as you can see, it's got some different edges here, and what I think that adds to just the look of the knife. Makes it cool. I like those edges, but along this edge, it's more of a ground finish, and then a satin finish on the bevel leading down to the edge of the blade. The knife does have an additional locking mechanism so that you can lock the access lock in place when it's in your pocket, so it will not open. The same locking mechanism can be applied when the knife has been released at the top, so that the knife now, even if you cannot access or close the access lock and close the blade, so it locks it in the open position. I guess an additional safety feature on this knife. I think that about covers it. If you have any additional questions, go ahead and put those in the comments, and I'll try and respond. But for anyone else out there that's looking at the Benchmade Vallation, it's a great knife, and I highly recommend it. Pick one of these up. Thanks, guys.